Hi, so we'll just try to understand what a GRT or giant retinal tear is. So just imagine that this is the retina and the tape or the cellophane is the vitreous, and you can see it is attached to an area where there is some abnormality. Maybe it's a lattice or it's a WWOP. So there is now initiation of the PVD, which we know starts from posterior, and as the posterior vitreous is detaching, we can see that there is some adhesion at the point, okay, and it is not detaching further. Instead, it is creating a break. So you can see the retina is getting lifted. So basically, there is formation of a break, and as the retina is lifted, we can see that fluid is entering through that area, and there is causing a localized retinal detachment. Now we have to understand that there are two parts of this tear. One is anterior and one is posterior. So whatever is near to the disc is posterior, what is away from the disc is anterior. So in this case we can see that this is the anterior margin and this is the posterior margin. So if we again come to our RD and we see that vitreous is attached to the anterior margin of the tear. So as it is attached to the anterior margin of the tear, that this portion cannot move freely because it has an attachment to the vitreous. Whereas the posterior flap or the posterior edge of the tear is free. Now because of gravity, movement of vitreous or movement of the eye, this flap sometimes tends to fold. Either it can fold on itself or it can just roll back. Over time, if this flap is left as it will fold further, and the folds may become permanent with development of PVR, and surgery becomes very difficult then. Now, how is this different from a retinal dialysis? Now, in a retinal dialysis, it is actually not a tear, rather, it is a disinsertion. It is disinsertion from the aura. So, whenever there is trauma or some other pathology at this area, because of the strong adhesion of the vitreous base to the aura, the vitreous doesn't detach from the retina. In fact, it pulls off the retina. So the retina is disinserted from the aura, but the vitreous is still attached to the retina and it is attached to the posterior edge. Also, there is no PVD in cases of retinal dialysis, which is commonly present in cases of giant retinal tear. Hence, because this tag is still attached to the retina doesn't fall back freely, and we don't see a flap folding on in a case of giant retinal dialysis.